Hello everybody. Today I have a meme deck for you. So that means you shouldn't expect this deck to be competitive, but it can be fun to play around with. And as you can see, I've lost 3 out of the 4 games I've played with this deck, so it's definitely not one you want to play if you're looking for a competitive deck. You can see some of my other videos for that. Anyway, this deck focuses around Vozitian Trader, which has the ability of playing and getting attack whenever you play an item or whenever an item leaves your board. So we're going to be playing a lot of items that leave our board and enter our board and do stuff. For example, Hit List is one of them. When an ally is killed, you can throw it away to draw 2 cards. So this automatically becomes +2 attack to the trader as long as you use it that turn. And it can be used when an ally is killed on your turn. And that's why we run a lot of allies like Kristoffer Wyld and Killer Bee. It can even be our own ally. So Killer Bee kills itself. Kristoffer Wyld is another card that basically kills itself if you ram it into an opponent who has a weapon or ram it into an opposing ally. And so these allies that kill themselves are going to trigger our hit lists. Now, I did sacrifice one of them because we don't need 3 of them, but and also I really want draw, especially going first against Baduru. The thing about an early rush, like against Baduru, if you play, say, your Kristoffer Wyld on turn 1, the thing about that early rush is Baduru is actually one of the heroes that can really counter an early rush very well. So we instead want to focus on draw here. If we can focus on draw, we can maybe take back the board and focus on not rushing down per se, but out advantaging Baduru, which is where you can actually win the game much more easily. We luckily drew to Bad Santa, so we're very happy to sack another Kristoffer Wyld. Kristoffer Wyld is very bad for card advantage, so we want to sacrifice those and go for the cards that are going to give us card advantage. Bad Santa is one of them, because our opponent has 6 cards in hand. You can only have a maximum of 7 cards in hand, so this is the perfect time to play Bad Santa, draw 3 cards for us, while our opponent doesn't get to benefit from that. So, yeah, we're just sacrificing any cards that are not really actively giving us advantage. Frying Pan is another card that we're running only because it's an item that, when you play that item, it only costs 1, but when you use it, then it goes to the graveyard. That's another +2 attack for our Vozitian Trader. So we're playing Frying Pan. As bad of a card as Frying Pan is, it's, well, this is a for fun deck anyway, so who cares about whether it's a good card or not. Anyway, Loom of Fate here, another way to give us advantage. Advantage is super important against Baduru here. So we're just going to stack up our advantage as much as possible. We'll play the Kristoffer Wyld here, because why not? We'll see if we can pressure our opponent into maybe playing a Hunter's Gambit here. That would have been great. Our opponent plays Woven Scout, which is something we can definitely kill. So we sacrificed the Killer Bee there. Arguably, I could have played it, but I felt like it was a little bit awkward to play there because we already have the Kristoffer Wyld on the board. And so Killer Bee essentially deals 3 damage, but our opponent has a 4 health ally. And so it wasn't super efficient. Instead, we're going to go for Aldon the Brave, which is going to upgrade our Kristoffer Wyld so that we can kill this Woven Scout with our 2 Kristoffer Wylds. This is also going to allow us to trigger the hit list. So as you'll see, we summon the Aldon. That actually buffs the Wyld to 2 attack. That triggers our hit list because Wyld died. Now we can summon another Wyld. Now it has 2 attack. And so Aldon is a super important card in this deck because Aldon is what makes Killer Bee and also Kristoffer Wyld that much stronger. That is the card that basically enables those 2 haste allies essentially to get 1 more attack and just be so much stronger at retaking the board, which is super important. Anyway, we go for that play, and we're pretty happy with our hand. We don't generally want to be sacrificing traders ever in this deck, because trader is basically the only way you can win the game. It's basically the card this whole deck is based around. So we want to keep those. So we're going to be keeping them, sacrificing Killer Bees, and sacrificing other cards that are not Trader, or cards that actually actively synergize with Trader. That's actually why we're keeping Frying Pan. Frying Pan is amazing with the Trader. So in this position, actually, we also get another lucky top deck here. And so we go ahead and sacrifice Bad Santa because we're actually okay on card advantage, and right now we don't really want to be giving our opponent that much card advantage either. So our Anarchic Looting is perfect here. It gets rid of their weapon and lets us draw a card, 2 cards, 1 for their weapon and 1 for our Loom of Fate that is being destroyed. We are happy to not activate Loom of Fate. Actually, activating Loom of Fate would have been a mistake there because it would have put us on 7 cards in hand, which we do not want. So here, this is going to show you just how strong the trader can get in one single push. So we're going to summon the trader, we're going to summon the frying pan, and we're going to summon the hit list. We actually do not sacrifice a card here because we don't want to get too low on card advantage, and this deck is a deck that can comfortably sit on 5 because we don't run any fatties. So it's important here that we use Lance first. We use Lance and then we're going to attack. So we use Lance, buff the trader. Now we're going to use the frying pan, which is going to give trader another health. Now we're going to use the hit list, which is going to give the trader another attack, and now you see that our trader has 6 attack. And this is an ally that can keep growing, so our opponent has to respond to this. It's going to be much harder with stealth, so our opponent responds with Poison Arrow, which is one of the only cards in our opponent's deck probably that could have actually stopped this. So it's kind of lucky that our opponent had that, but we're not going to be deterred. We're going to play our 2 traders here, and now we're totally set up for another push. We can start summoning a bunch of weapons and stuff like that, and actually, do a lot of damage on our next turn with that. So here we're going to sacrifice again another killer bee. It's not going to synergize so well with our traders, which is why we're sacrificing the bee. We're going to summon the Loom of Fate because we want to give our traders more attack here, and we let our opponent draw a card. I guess that is probably unfortunate, but we do want to draw cards here. I feel like I really need to see some item cards that I can play here to boost these traders up a little bit farther so I can actually win the game here. Right now, we're in this kind of final push. We can't let this last trader die. If this last trader dies, then we lose our main way to gain attack and actually close out this game. So we're going to try and protect our traders here, and we're going to also try to upgrade them as fast as possible before they die with as many item cards as we can. So in this scenario, actually, this is where I am going to play the frying pan and also rely on Viper to actually disable the gargoyle. I think the frying pan is slightly better than the Anklebreaker here because it's going to be a total of +2 attack rather than just +1 attack. And so that's why we go for the frying pan and Viper play rather than the Anklebreaker play, which would only give a given +1 attack to our traders. So here we are lucky that our opponent did not draw into a weapon here. I think he could have easily killed one of our traders, and then we would not have been able to win the game here. Yeah, we do get a little lucky, although we do have the Anarchic Looting, and so that is going to let us destroy our own item, buff the traders to 6 attack, and that is a perfect amount for dealing fatal here. So yes, this is a total meme deck, and the reason is that trader only has 5 health, and even when you give it stealth, especially in this meta, a lot of people are countering Agnar, and so they're going to have a lot of cheap removal cards. And those cheap removal cards are really going to hurt your trader because you really need your trader to stick around and basically gain a ton of value from all the items you're playing. So I think, especially given the meta of a lot of people countering allies, trader is really not what you want to be playing. That said, I think this deck is really fun. I really enjoy this deck. So here is the deck list. We're running these 4 Kristoffer Wylds, 4 Killer Bees, just to trigger hit list. These are great cards for removing the opponent's threats and also getting our draw off of hit list and also buffing the trader. Aldon synergizes with this package here that helps trigger our hit lists and also just makes them into actual threats. The trader is the star of the deck, so we have to run 4. And then we run 2 Vipers. I think if this was a more competitive deck, we would definitely add more of these. But 2 Vipers is okay because we're not trying to focus on playing allies. That's actually why I chose to completely forego what you would normally see here. This is actually good advice if you are trying to build Lance. You want to be playing fatties because Lance's ability gets stronger when you use it on an ally that is stronger. Now, because of the special deck that we're playing, you always want to be using Lance's ability on Trader, so we actually don't need to run fatties. Trader on its own can get to 6 attack very easily on the same turn that you play him. So we don't need a fatty that has 6 attack. That said, in a more standard Lance deck, you would see things like Nathaniel there. You would see cards like Eris. All those are high attack fatties that you want to be playing to maximize the value of your Lance ability. So now we also play 4 Bad Santa. I think Bad Santa is a really good card in this deck because we run so many 1-cost cards. We run Hit List, we run Frying Pan, and we run Kristoffer Wyld, which is a lot of 1-cost cards, more than most decks run generally. And so early in the game, we're going to get a lot of advantage from Bad Santa by playing our 1-cost card and then playing Bad Santa on turn 2. That usually only works if you are going first, but going second, Bad Santa is still okay because going second, you already have the card advantage, and then you don't necessarily need it as much. You can sacrifice it, and you're still in a great position with this particular deck because you want to be building up, and card advantage can be an issue. So this solves our card advantage problem going first. Going second, we have less of a card advantage issue in the first place. So then we play our item destruction package. Honestly, I wasn't liking Stop Thief that much in this particular deck because Trader only cares about your own own items. So I think you could easily drop this card. Anarchic Looting was a huge MVP in this deck because it lets you destroy your own items, which is great, and it also lets you destroy your opponent's items, which is very nice as well. And it's also a draw card. This deck needs the draw more than the resources. You really don't need that many resources with this deck, although sometimes if you have a lot of draw, you can try and go for a tall resource stack with like a ton of Bad Santas. So it's not the worst thing to have extra resources, but I think looting is a little bit better for this deck. Now we have the reason I decided to build this, which is Hit List getting buffed to 1 cost. I think Hit List is an amazing card, but it is a little inconsistent. You trade off very strong draw power for this consistency hit because you're not always going to be able to trigger it. There are a lot of situations where you just can't kill an ally, and so you have this useless card that does absolutely nothing. And so oftentimes this card can brick you if you don't have a way to remove an ally. So that's why it's so important to run these allies that kill themselves with Hit List, because you often need to be the one killing your own allies to trigger Hit List. And that's what's preventing this card, which is super broken on paper, which is 1 cost for draw 2, from being like especially good, I would say. And the reason you don't see it more often is it just bricks way too often. You just run into so many situations where you draw into multiple of these, and for that reason, I don't actually think it's like an excellent card in Rogues right now. I think it is a little too inconsistent, but it is still 1 cost for draw 2, so when it is good, you're gonna be very thankful for the card. It's gonna feel extremely good when you can chain these. The dream combo, which never happened to me over my 4 games, is to play multiple hit lists in a row, which you can do. You could play hit list, activate it, play another hit list, activate it, play another hit list, activate it, and that is how you're gonna get your trader to say an absurd 10 attack. And so you really need that hit list to go off and to be triggerable so that you can chain your hit lists. I would almost say if it wasn't so important to draw, you could even try to save multiple copies of hit list and chain them all at once with Trader, because that is something that will make your Trader that much stronger in attack value. Frying Pan is a terrible card. You would probably never play this in a serious deck, but we're a meme deck, so we can play bad cards. It basically is just another way to trigger our Trader. You summon it, attack with it, that gives your Trader +2 attack. So that's awesome. It is a very funny card to play, especially when you're on like 5 resources or 6 resources. Playing the Trader, then playing the Frying Pan, and then playing like some hit lists is just really awesome. It's just a very fun thing. So then we have Loom of Fate. This is another draw card that's just going to let us draw cards. And is another item that helps with the Trader. And then finally, Anklebreaker is just a necessary card, I think, for Rogues. Yes, we're playing more of a meme deck, but Anklebreaker gives you so much value that I think it would be hard not to play it. That said, it is really awkward in this deck. I think if you were to go full meme, you could probably drop it for another card that I really wanted to include in this deck. So I'm going to search it up now. It's an armor. Now this is a card that I think synergizes extremely well with this deck, but I just couldn't fit in. It's called Helm of Semet. So the reason this synergizes so well is you return a weapon from your graveyard to play with 2 durability. So that triggers Trader once. Then when Helm is destroyed, it triggers it again. And when the weapon you are destroyed, you summon with Semet is destroyed, it triggers yet again. So this is +3 attack to your Trader. And you can use it multiple times, so that is more value every single turn. The reason I couldn't really fit it in is it is very expensive. It costs 4 resources, and it's just not worth bringing back Frying Pan. I mean, you're basically paying 4 costs to summon an item that costs 1 from the graveyard, So I think you really don't get the value that you need when you're playing Helm of Samet with Frying Pan. I think if you went with more of a low cost weapon build, you could try this with some of these weapons. So Weevil is a great card to bring back with Helm of Samet. You see that combo oftentimes in Ravager Banebow with a card called Survivalist. That is a great way to make your useless items give you draw. But that is for the Hunter class. So that's why we're not running it here. We're not Hunter, so we can't run it. There's another card that's really good. In my opinion, Spirit Shuriken is really good when you summon it from Helm of Samet. The reason is that Spirit Shuriken has this ability, and so the main value you're getting from Spirit Shuriken is not its stats, which are actually pretty low for a 4-cost weapon. The main value you're getting out of Shuriken is the ability, and you get to use the ability when you bring it back with the helm. Now, if you're playing Warriors, which we're not, but you could play Warriors, not with Trader, because Trader is a rogue card, but that is another card that's really good with Helm of Samet, and why I personally like that card a lot. Where is it? Gemstone Javelin, which is totally evading me here. Here it is. This is another card that is excellent with Helm of Samet. So those are some other combos that you can maybe try if you're looking for some fun. So again, this is a total meme deck. Don't take it too seriously. Expect to lose most of the time when you play this deck. But I thought it was kind of fun, so I thought I'd shoot this video anyway. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this deck in action. Let me know what you think about this deck. Or if you kind of like this content. Do you like watching more meme decks, or do you want to see more competitive decks? Let me know in the comments, and that is what I'll focus on in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.